General stood in the center of the high chamber, surrounded by cold metal walls and floating symbols of the Empire's power. His many eyes lowered in a rare sign of respect as he faced the throne. The Emperor rested above all others, seated on a glowing structure shaped like ancient claws. Silence filled the air as prepared to speak. He had fought in many wars. He had crushed rebel planets and broken proud species. Yet nothing had shaken him like the data on humanity. The small blue world called Earth had once seemed weak and unimportant. Humans were slow, soft, and divided, but they had survived disasters that should have erased them. They rebuilt after fires, floods, plagues, and wars. They learned from every wound. Activated the display field. Images of human cities filled the space. Some were shining towers of glass and steel. Others were simple homes made of stone and wood. Images shifted to show human soldiers training in harsh deserts, frozen fields, and deep oceans. They adapted fast. They did not stop. They changed and grew stronger under pressure. "Great throne," said, his voice firm but calm. "This species is not what they appear to be. They bend, but they do not break. If we force war upon them, we will create an enemy that will not rest." Murmurs spread among the Imperial Council. Several generals clicked their mandibles in amusement. One of them, Lord, stepped forward and laughed softly. "You speak of fear. Are we to believe these fragile bipeds threaten the empire that spans 1,000 systems?" Did not answer with anger. He only changed the display again. Now it showed human history. It showed wars where humans fought humans. It showed moments where entire cities burned, yet people still walked forward. It showed records of nuclear fire and then green life returning. Children played among ruins. Hands rebuilt homes. Eyes looked ahead with stubborn light. "They survive loss," said. "They survive pain. They survive each other. That is what makes them dangerous." The Emperor shifted, the light around the throne glowing brighter. "We did not build this empire by showing mercy to lesser worlds," the Emperor declared. "Humanity will kneel as all others have." Bowed his head once more, but inside him grew a quiet dread. He had seen many species fall. Humans felt different. There was a calm storm in them, a silent promise of resistance. Far away, on a human colony world called Haven Ridge, the sky burned orange as twin suns dipped low. The surface was filled with farms, small towns, and metal structures that supported life in thin air. The colony was young, but the people worked hard to make it home. Commander Jack Miller walked along a raised platform overlooking the defense grid. His face was lined from years of service, but his eyes stayed sharp. He watched technicians move between consoles and shield towers. Beside him stood the colony's science officer, holding a data pad with growing tension in her grip. "The signals are getting stronger," said quietly. "It's not background noise anymore. Something is moving toward us." Jack did not smile, but his tone stayed even. "Could be deep space debris or a lost convoy." Shook her head. "This pattern feels intentional, too smooth, too steady." Below them, civilians moved through market lanes, unaware of the slow shadow approaching. Lisa Carter walked among them, checking emergency supply stations and speaking with families. She was not a soldier, but she felt responsibility in every step. She watched the sky often, as if her instincts warned her before any machine could. Inside the command center, early alarms began to hum. A soft vibration, not yet loud enough to cause panic. Jack and exchanged a glance that carried shared concern. They both knew the same truth but hoped to delay saying it aloud. Hours later, the signal resolved into clear shapes. Not one vessel, not 10, but countless forms moving as a united force. Their size eclipsed any fleet the colony had ever recorded. Jack stared at the projection in quiet disbelief. How long until contact? "Less than a day," replied, "if they maintain current speed." An emergency meeting was called. Officers, engineers, and colony leaders filled the room. Lisa stood near Jack, her posture steady despite the fear in her eyes. "We do not know who they are or why they are here," Jack spoke clearly. "But we prepare as if they mean harm. Shield activation, evacuation drills, and full readiness." No one protested. No one joked. The room moved with silent understanding. Out in space, the Imperial Armada continued its silent approach. Millions of lights glowed against the dark, like a moving night sky. General watched from his command throne, troubled eyes fixed on the human world ahead. He remembered the children he had seen in the recordings, the way they laughed even when their surroundings were broken. He wondered how such small creatures carried such will. "Final chance," he whispered to himself, "turn back." But the Emperor's will was already in motion. Orders flowed through the fleet like cold water. The first phase of domination had begun. Back on Haven Ridge, the sky changed color as unfamiliar shapes formed beyond the clouds. People stopped in the streets and looked up. Fear traveled in silence before any word was spoken. Some held hands, others stepped backward. A few knelt in prayer or confusion. Jack felt the weight of every life behind him. He adjusted his stance and spoke into the communication channel. "All units hold position. Do not fire unless fired upon." Watched the screen as alien energy signatures grew brighter. "They're scanning us," she said, "mapping everything." Lisa closed her eyes for a brief moment, then opened them with new resolve. "Then we show them we are not just targets, we are people." Above, the first Imperial vessels pierced the upper atmosphere, casting long shadows across the ground. Engines roared like distant thunder. The air trembled with power not born of this world. In the heart of the invading fleet stood silent. He saw the fragile surface below and felt a strange pull of respect and sorrow. He knew history would remember this moment, but not as victory. The first warning shot struck an unoccupied field far from the city. The ground split open, sending heat and light into the sky. A clear message: submit or suffer. On Haven Ridge, no one cheered. No one surrendered. They only watched, breathing shallow, waiting for the storm to reveal its full face. This was not the end. It was the beginning of something the Empire did not understand and soon would not control. The ground still smoked from the warning blast when the second wave of ships passed over Haven Ridge. The air felt heavy, like the whole sky was pressing down. People ran for shelters while alarms echoed through the colony. Children cried, clutching at parents who tried to stay calm even though fear sat sharp in their own chests. Commander Jack Miller stood at the main defense console. His jaw was tight, but his voice stayed steady. He watched rows of data scroll past, each line telling him the same story. The fleet above them was strong, much stronger than anything the colony had seen before. "Shields at full?" Jack asked. "As full as they can be," answered. She checked her screens again. "If they fire for real, the shields will hold for a time, but not for long." Jack nodded. It was not good news, but it was clear. He liked clear things even when they hurt. Lisa Carter stepped into the command room. She wore a simple jacket, no armor, but there was a firm strength in the way she moved. "Evacuation drills are running," she said. "Families are moving to the deep shelters. Some want to stay in their homes, but we are doing our best to bring them in." Jack turned to her. "Thank you. We need everyone below ground until we know what they want." "We already know what they want," said softly. "No one brings a fleet like that for a friendly visit." For a moment, the three of them stood together in silence. Outside, the sky rumbled, not with thunder but with the sound of alien engines. Far above, on the lead Imperial cruiser, General stared down at the small colony. It looked fragile, like a toy set on dry sand. He could see the thin line of shield energy around the settlement, glowing like a faint shell. "They raise defenses," Lord said from beside him. There was a hint of amusement in his tone. "They hope to resist." "They prepare to survive," replied. "That is different." Waved one hand in the air, dismissive. "We crush the shield. We send ground units. They will break as all others do. Did not answer. He knew he could not stop the first strike, but he could slow it. He opened a channel to the high throne. Great throne, he said, bowing his head. The human world is before us. I ask again for another path. Let us speak with them. Let us offer terms. If we turn this into fire, they will become something worse than an enemy. The emperor's voice came through like a cold wind. You forget your place, you command. You do not question. The humans will be an example. Their world will kneel. Their spirit will break. Their spirit will not break, thought, but he did not say it aloud. He ended the channel and felt a deeper weight settle inside his chest. Below, Haven Ridge trembled as the first true attack began. Beams of bright energy cut through the upper sky and slammed into the outer shield. The protective field flared white, then returned to pale blue. Warning lights flashed all over the command center. Shields at 80%, called out. That was just a test shot. Jack rested both hands on the edge of the console. Bring all surface guns online. Power to shield generators first, weapons second. We hold as long as we can. On the outskirts of the colony, a group of engineers worked at the base of a shield tower. Among them was Cole, hair messy, face streaked with dust and sweat. He checked power lines and fusion links, speaking to his team in short, sharp sentences. We keep these towers alive, he said. If one goes down, the shield gets weak, and then we all have a bad day. A young technician glanced at the sky. How do we fight something like that? Followed his gaze, watching the dark shapes of alien ships move above the clouds. One problem at a time, he replied. First, we keep the shield up. Then we help the ones with the guns. Back in the command center, Lisa watched the sensor display. They are not aiming for our homes yet, she said. They are feeling us out. That will not last, Jack answered, but we will use every moment they give us. He opened a channel to all security units and defense teams. This is Commander Miller. Stay at your posts. Protect the generators, the main gates, and the shelters. Do not waste fire on the upper ships. They are too far and too strong. We fight where we can make a difference. His voice went out across the colony. People in armor and people in work clothes alike paused to listen. It calmed them, not because he promised safety, but because he spoke with clear truth. On the Imperial ship, watched as the humans responded. He saw them move with purpose, not chaos. Lines of defense formed. Patrols guarded exposed points. There was fear, yes, but there was also discipline. Ground strike teams request permission to land, an officer reported. They wish to test human close resistance. Closed his eyes for a brief moment. He knew he could not refuse without drawing punishment. Grant permission, he said, but strict limits. No full burn on the colony's surface. Not yet. Several broke away from the main fleet, cutting through the clouds like dark blades. Their hulls glowed with re-entry heat. They came down at the edges of Haven Ridge, kicking up dust and wind. Jack saw the new contacts appear on his screen. They are landing troops, he said. They want to see how we fight up close. Then we show them, Lisa replied. Her voice was calm. Jack sent quick orders. Small defense squads moved out, using streets and buildings for cover. The colonists did not have heavy tanks or advanced alien armor. They had rifles, drones, and a few old artillery units. They used what they had. At the west edge of the colony, a door slammed open. Tall alien soldiers stepped out, armor shining, weapons humming with stored energy. Their eyes were cold and sure. The first human squad waited behind a low wall of stacked containers. Among them was Woods, a pilot who had volunteered to help on the ground while his ship sat fueled and ready. He held his rifle tight, breathing slow. Remember, the squad leader said, we are not here to die. We are here to make them work for every meter. The aliens advanced in a sharp line, confident. When they reached the open field before the containers, the human squad opened fire. Bright streaks of bullets and energy rounds crossed the air. The first alien in line stumbled, armor sparking. The aliens answered with stronger blasts that tore chunks out of the cover. Dirt and metal flew. 2 humans fell, one crying out, the other silent. Felt fear push up his throat, but he forced it down. He remembered the training rooms, the quiet talks with Jack, the way Lisa had looked at the sky, already expecting this day. He moved to a better angle, took a slow breath, and fired at a joint in the nearest alien's armor. The shot hit. The alien dropped to one knee. Another human round finished the job. "See," shouted over the noise, "they bleed too." The line held longer than the aliens expected. The human squad did not stand still. They shifted positions, used smoke, and pulled back in steps, always dragging their wounded with them. In orbit, watched the battle feed. He saw his soldiers push forward against stubborn, clever resistance. He noticed how the humans used the ground, how they refused to leave their injured behind even when it slowed them. "They are not like the others," he said quietly. Lord snorted. "They are slower, they are weak, they will tire soon." "They will learn soon," corrected inside his own mind. At the same time, was tracking energy readings from the alien. She noticed a pattern in the way their shields flickered each time they fired. "Jack," she said, stepping close to his console. "Their ground units use the same power source for weapons and personal shields. When they fire, their shield strength dips for a moment." Jack looked at her, then at the real-time battle map. "You are sure?" "As sure as I can be without touching their tech," replied. Jack opened a direct channel to the squads. "All ground units, listen. Target them right after they shoot. They are weaker in that moment. Do not rush. Wait, then hit them hard." The message took only seconds to spread, but it changed the fight. Humans began timing their shots, waiting for the light surge of the alien weapons before firing back. More aliens fell. Their advance slowed. In the west sector, grinned for the first time during the battle. "They are not gods," he muttered as another alien dropped. "They are just a little taller." The Imperial officers watching the feeds grew unsettled. One turned too. "They are adapting too fast," he said. "They should be in panic." "This is their panic," replied, calm, focused, and angry. On the colony, Lisa visited one of the deep shelters. Hundreds of people were packed inside. Some sat on the floor, others leaned against the walls. Volunteers moved among them with water and blankets. A few small children played with simple toys, unaware of the full danger. An older man near the entrance looked up at Lisa. "Is it as bad as it sounds?" he asked. Lisa did not lie. "It is hard," she said, "but we are holding, our people are fighting smart, we are not alone up there." "What can we do?" a woman nearby asked. "We are just sitting here." "You are living," Lisa replied. "You are keeping calm. You are making sure the children feel safe. That matters more than you know. The people outside are fighting for you. Give them something worth coming back to." Her words settled over the shelter like a soft blanket. People straightened a little. They talked in low voices, not about fear, but about what they would do when this day passed. Back in space, the Emperor watched from the distant capital through a high-priority channel. He saw his soldiers meeting resistance from what he still believed was a lesser world. "Increase pressure," the Emperor ordered coldly. "Send more ground units. Test their cities. If they will not kneel with light force, they will kneel under heavy boots." Felt something twist inside him. "Great throne," he said, choosing his words with care. "If we push too hard, we will teach them too much. Every move we make, they learn. Every blow we strike, they answer better. Let us stop now while we can still choose." "Do you fear them?" the Emperor asked. There was a hint of threat in the question. Did not flinch. "I respect them, there is a difference." "You forget that respect is for equals," the Emperor said. "Humans are not our equals." Not yet, thought, but again, he kept it inside. More ships broke from the main fleet, moving into lower orbits. New waves of prepared to descend. The invasion was growing. On Haven Ridge, Jack saw the new contacts appear and knew they could not hold the outer lines forever. "We start fallback plan Delta," he told. "Pull the squads inward. Make them fight for every block, but do not let them surround us." "Understood," replied. She sent the new orders. At the west sector received the command. He fired one last round, then signaled his squad. "You heard the man. We fall back in steps. No one gets left behind." They moved street by street, placing small charges and traps as they went. When the aliens advanced through narrow lanes, explosions delayed them, slowing their progress. Still at the shield tower saw power levels dropping faster as the attacks increased. "We are running hot," he said to his team. "But we are not shutting down. If something blows, we patch it. If it breaks, we rebuild it. As long as one wire is left, this tower stands." One of the younger engineers gave a shaky laugh. "That sounds like a very human plan." "Good," answered. "We are very human." Throughout the colony, similar small acts of stubbornness repeated. People dragged wounded friends to safety. They shared water, tools, and hope. They cried in moments of quiet, then wiped their eyes and went back to work. Watched it all and felt a deep unease. The Empire measured victory in fast numbers, in ground taken and enemies killed. But what he saw in the humans did not fit those numbers. He saw something that would not be erased by loss. He spoke again to the Emperor, knowing it might be the last time he dared. "Great Throne, I beg you, stop this now. They will remember every face of every soldier we send. They will remember every strike, every fire, every scream. They will not forget, and one day they will come for us." There was a long pause. When the Emperor finally replied, his voice was full of cold pride. "We do not fear the memories of a lesser race. Your weakness shames you. Continue the operation." The channel cut, stood alone in the command hall, surrounded by maps of fire. He looked down at the small blue-green curve of the colony world. "I tried," he whispered, though no one was there to hear. "I tried to save you, and I tried to save us from you." On Haven Ridge, as the second wave of enemy began to fall, Jack, Lisa, and many others prepared for the next stage of the fight. They did not know the full size of the empire that had chosen to crush them. They only knew their own small world and the people they loved. It was enough. For humans, it was always enough to stand. The battle on Haven Ridge changed as the second wave reached the ground. More alien troops poured out of their ships, spreading wider and pushing harder. The air burned with smoke and the sharp smell of broken metal. Sirens echoed through the streets, mixing with distant cries and the heavy sound of weapons. Jack Miller watched the flow of the fight from the command center. Every screen showed a different struggle. His people were holding, but the pressure was growing. He could see it in the way the defensive lines bent and shifted. "They are trying to split us," said, pointing at the map. "If they cut through here and here, they surround the main shelter zone." Jack nodded slowly. "We cannot let that happen. Send a message to all squads. We focus on holding the center paths. Even if the edges fall, the heart stands." Sent the order without delay. She then turned back to her own work, eyes scanning alien signals. She was not looking only for danger now. She was searching for weakness. Out on the streets, Woods and his squad moved through narrow lanes filled with broken glass and dust. His breathing was heavy, but his hands stayed steady. The alien force never stopped moving. Every time one fell, another stepped forward. "How many do they have?" One soldier muttered before ducking behind a wall as energy fire streaked past. "Too many to count," replied. "So we stop counting and just fight the ones in front of us." He leaned around the corner and fired. An alien dropped with a sharp cry. For a moment, almost felt sorry. Then another blast struck the wall beside his face and the feeling vanished. Near a shield tower, Cole and his team worked under open attack. Sparks flew as enemy fire clipped the metal frame around them. Did not stop. His fingers moved fast, linking cables, rerouting power, sealing cracks with quick patches. "Tower 3 is holding at 60%, a technician shouted over the noise. "If it drops below 50, we lose this section of shield." "Then it does not drop," said firmly. "You hold that line and I will hold this one." He looked up and saw the sky glow with alien craft. Instead of fear, he felt a strange, stubborn pride. They had not fallen yet. They were still here. Inside the deep shelter, Lisa Carter worked with volunteers to keep order and calm. She helped an injured boy drink water, then spoke softly to an older woman who shook with fear. "They are strong," the woman whispered. "How can we stand against them?" "Because this is our home," Lisa said, "and because they do not understand what that means to us." Nearby, a group of young people helped stack supplies and share food. They joked in low voices, trying to hide their fear. Every laugh was thin and tired, but it was still a laugh. It still mattered. Above the world, General watched the full spread of battle. His concern grew with each minute. The humans should have broken by now. Instead, they fought with sharper focus, like fire that learns to shape itself. "Their coordination improves," one officer said. "They should be disorganized. Why are they not?" Folded his arms behind his back. "Because they are not fighting only as soldiers. They are fighting as a single people." "That will not save them," the officer replied. Said nothing, but doubt lingered across his thoughts. Every move the Empire made seemed to make the humans better, not weaker. Back on the ground, screen lit up with new data. She noticed a repeating energy signature coming from the alien command signals. "Jack," she said slowly, "I think I found their coordination channel. It runs through a central relay unit on the surface." Jack looked up sharply. "If we take that out, their local squads will lose timing for a while," said. "They will still fight, but slower and less in sync." "Can you mark it?" Nodded and highlighted a location on the map. It was near an old storage sector, now half broken from early strikes. Alien signals were strongest there. Jack opened a channel to strike teams. "We have a chance. There is a relay hub at these coordinates. If we hit it, we slow them down. Can your unit reach it?" Glanced at his squad, then back to the screen on his wrist device. "It will not be easy," he said, "but yes, we can try." "You do not have to be heroes," Jack said. "Just be smart and come back alive." "We will do both," answered before cutting the channel. His squad moved fast through side streets, using rubble and broken vehicles for cover. Alien patrols passed close, but the humans waited, moved when they could, and stayed hidden when they had to. The relay unit soon came into view. It was a strange structure, half-grown, half-built, covered in glowing veins of light. Alien guards stood around it, alert and heavily armed. Crouched behind a fallen beam, studying the layout. "We need a clean hit," he whispered. "If we miss, we do not get a second chance." His squad leader nodded. "We use the charge packs, hit the base, then fall back fast." They split into two small teams, circling wide. Every step felt like it took a year. Every breath sounded too loud in his ears. When they reached their positions, raised his hand, then dropped it. The charges flew. Explosions tore into the side of the relay unit, bursting metal and light outward. Alien guards shouted and fired wildly, but the structure shuddered and collapsed into sparking wreckage. "Move!" yelled. They ran as return fire burned the ground behind them. One soldier stumbled, grabbed his arm and pulled him up, refusing to leave him. On the bridge of the Imperial cruiser, control signals flickered. Several officers turned in alarm. "Relay Point Delta is destroyed," one called. "Local unit response is delayed." Lord slammed a fist into the console. How did primitives reach that point? Watched in silence, a dark understanding forming. "Because they watch, they learn, and they adapt," he said. "And because we teach them every time we strike." On Haven Ridge, Jack saw the impact as alien formations hesitated. Their movement grew less smooth. Their timing fell off by just enough for human squads to push back a little ground. "Good work," Jack said over the channel. "Fall back and regroup, you bought us time." Leaned against a wall, breathing hard, but a tired smile crossed his face. "Time is a pretty good gift," he muttered. More fighting followed, but the rhythm had changed. The humans now knew the aliens could bleed, break, and misstep, and the aliens now knew the humans would not freeze or fall away. In the command center, kept digging deeper into alien patterns. She saw how they shared power, how their weapons relied on the same core frequency. "We cannot match their strength," she said to Jack, "but we can learn their shape. If we understand their shape, we can bend around it." Jack looked at her with tired respect. "Keep pushing on that. Knowledge is our sharpest blade." As the hours dragged on, the ground became a maze of cover and fire. Human squads rotated, covering each other when one grew too tired. Med teams pulled the wounded back, always moving, always working. Tower team finally took a direct hit. Part of the structure collapsed in a wash of sparks and falling metal. The shield shuddered across that entire sector. "Power spike," a technician shouted. "We are going to lose it." Wiped blood from a cut on his forehead. "Not today," he growled. He climbed into the broken frame, ignoring the heat and danger. He linked a temporary line, forcing power flow through raw cable with his own hands guiding it. The shock made his arms shake, but the system steadied. "Stabilized," he gasped. "Keep it flowing, do not let go." He leaned against the metal when it was done, breathing through pain. The shield line held. Inside the shelter, Lisa received word of minor breaches on the outer edge. Some people panicked, but she stood in the center of the crowd and raised her voice. "Listen to me," she said. "They have not reached us. Our people are still fighting. We help by staying calm and steady. Fear spreads faster than any enemy. Do not let it win here." Slowly the chaos softened. People sat back down. Hands found other hands. Whispers of comfort replaced cries. Up in orbit, the Emperor watched the slow grind of the invasion with growing irritation. This was taking too long. It was costing too much. "Why do they still stand?" he demanded. Lord bowed his head slightly. "They are stubborn, great throne, but stubbornness will break under weight." Stepped forward carefully, "or it will harden," he said. The Emperor's gaze turned sharp. "You speak again, General." "I speak because I see," replied. "Every strike we make does not weaken them. It teaches them. They will not bow like the others. If we do not stop, we will face not just resistance but a force shaped by our own hand." "We are the Empire," the Emperor said coldly. "We do not shape our enemies, we erase them." "Some things cannot be erased," answered, his voice low but steady. The Emperor made no reply. More ships shifted position. Heavier weapons came online. On the ground, the sky darkened as shadow from the fleet deepened. The air felt tense, like the moment before a storm breaks wide open. Jack felt it too. He knew the next phase would be worse. He walked through the command center, taking in every face, tired, dirty, afraid, but still standing. "We hold as long as breath stays in our chests," he told them. "We hold for the families below, for the ones beside us, and for the future that does not kneel." No one cheered. They did not need to. They simply nodded and went back to their stations. Sat on the ground for a short rest beside his squad. One soldier leaned back and stared at the gray sky. "You think anyone will remember this day?" he asked. Looked at the damaged streets, at the shield glow above, and at the distant shape of alien ships. "Yeah," he said, "either as the day we fell, or the day they learned they picked the wrong world." Near the shield tower, watched repair drones buzz around the structure. He sent a quick report to command. "Tower 3 still standing, harder to kill than it looks." Allowed herself a small smile when she read it, then returned to decoding alien data with fierce focus. stood alone at the wide viewing port of his ship. He watched the small world below burn and resist at the same time. He saw flashes of defiance, points of stubborn light. "You were right," he murmured, though the words were meant for no one. "They do not break, they change, and we are the ones who will fear what we have created." As the Imperial fleet prepared heavier strikes and the humans braced for the next wave, the space between them filled with a silent truth. This was no longer a simple invasion. It was the meeting of force and will, of cold pride and fierce survival. And in that space, humanity stood firm, battered but unbowed, ready to show the Empire that survival was not their only strength. It was their nature. The air over Haven Ridge grew thick and heavy as the Imperial fleet shifted into a new pattern. Larger ships moved forward, their shapes blocking more of the fatting sky. A low hum rolled across the land, deeper than before, a sound that seemed to press into the bones of every living thing. Jack Miller watched the sensor arrays and felt his stomach tighten. Power levels from the enemy fleet were rising fast. This was not another test or slow push. This was meant to end something. "They are charging main cannons," said quietly. "If they fire from orbit, the shield will not hold." Jack did not look away from the screen. "How long until they are ready?" "Less than 15 minutes, she answered. Lisa, standing nearby, froze for a moment, then lifted her chin. "Then we use those 15 minutes well," she said. "What do you need from me?" "Keep the shelters calm," Jack replied. "If this turns ugly, panic will hurt us as much as any weapon." She nodded once and left at once, already moving with purpose. On the surface, human fighters and defense teams pulled back into zones. They knew what was coming, even if they did not speak it out loud. The sky itself felt like it had turned against them. Cole wiped grime from his eyes and checked the fatting power levels on his console. The shield towers were tired, and so were the people holding them together. "If they hit us full, this tower will not survive," one technician said in a weak voice. "Looked at the tower, then at the city below. Then we make sure they do not get a clean shot," he replied. "Every second we delay is a gift to someone." Woods and his squad regrouped near a broken transport station. They had lost 2 people. They were bruised, tired, and running low on supplies, but no one left their post. "If this is the last stand," one soldier whispered, "I am glad it is here." Nodded slowly. "Yeah, me too." Far above, General watched the fleet prepare its final blow. His hands curled slightly, a silent sign of distress among his kind. He could see the human lines below, weak but still ordered, still resisting. "Great throne," he spoke through the command channel one final time. "This next strike will not break them. It will only carve a deeper wound that will never fade. I ask you again, cease this. Speak with them, choose reason." There was a long pause. Then the Emperor's voice returned, hard and sharp. "You have shown weakness since the moment you saw them. You are blinded by false respect. The order stands, fire when ready." Lowered his head slightly. "As you command," he said, though every part of him knew it was wrong. Below looked at Jack with urgency. "The charge has reached critical level," she warned. 13 minutes. Jack closed his eyes for a short breath, then opened them again. "Open a broadcast channel," he said. "All frequencies, audio only." Hesitated. "To who?" "To everyone," Jack replied. "Humans and aliens." She did not question him further. She activated the channel. Jack leaned forward and spoke in a calm, steady voice that reached far beyond the colony. "This is Commander Jack Miller of Haven Ridge. We know you can hear us. We know you think we are weak, but look at us. We are still standing. We do not want your worlds. We do not want your people. We want to live. If your empire is truly strong, it should not fear letting us live in peace." For a moment there was only static. Then he continued. "If you fire, you may kill many of us today, but the ones who survive will remember. And one day they will rise, not for revenge, but for freedom. Choose wisely." His words echoed out into the void. Heard the message in full. His eyes narrowed, not in anger but in a deep kind of sorrow. He felt the truth of it settle inside him. "You see now," he whispered, "even under threat of death they speak of choice." The timer in the Imperial command chamber continued to tick down. 10 minutes. On Haven Ridge, Lisa moved through the shelter speaking softly to frightened families. "Stay close together," she told them. "Hold hands, breathe slow, remember the voices of the people you love, we are still here." Some cried, some prayed, some simply leaned against one another in quiet fear. 8 minutes. Checked his weapon and glanced at the sky. "Do you think they will listen?" another soldier asked him. Gave a thin smile. "I think they will learn one way or another." 6 minutes. In orbit, one of the younger Imperial officers shifted nervously. "General," he said, "the human transmission is being repeated across multiple wavelengths. Other nearby systems are picking it up." Looked at him sharply. "Other systems?" "Yes, neutral and allied worlds are now monitoring this conflict," the officer replied. Turned slowly toward the main viewer. "Then the whole galaxy may witness what we are about to become." 5 minutes. The Emperor remained silent, watching the power levels climb. His advisors gathered close, their expressions fierce and certain. None wished to question him now. 4 minutes. His hands trembled slightly as she watched the incoming energy spike. She leaned close to Jack. "If this hits direct, the command center may go too." "Then we do our jobs until the last second," Jack said calmly. "This world deserves that." 3 minutes. On the battlefield, looked up at the shield shimmer one more time. He rested a hand on the metal of the tower as if it were a living thing. "You have done good," he murmured. 2 minutes. Inside the Imperial chamber suddenly stepped forward. His voice rose, sharp and clear. "Great throne, I must object. By law of the High Command, a general may challenge an order if the action risks long-term collapse of the Empire. I invoke that right now." Silence slammed through the chamber. Every eye turned to him. "You dare," the Emperor hissed. "Yes," replied, "because I see the future more clearly than blind pride. If we erase this world, we will not win respect. We will awaken fear, hatred, and unity among others. The humans are not falling. They are becoming, and others will stand with them." 1 minute. A signal reached the chamber. Several outer systems had opened observation channels. Independent fleets had moved closer, watching. The Emperor's gaze flickered for the first time. Time reached 0. Power surged across the Imperial weapons. Then raised his arm and gave a new command to his own division. "Counter signal, override local target grid, delay firing protocols." "General, that is treason," an officer protested. "No," answered, "it is survival." Conflicting commands raced through the system. Some ships hesitated. Others paused their charge, responding to authority. The final strike did not release. On Haven Ridge nothing came. No blinding light, no world-ending roar, only tense silence. Jack stared at the sky, confused. "They stopped," whispered. Seconds turned into full minutes. The terrible blast never came. Slowly the Imperial ships began to shift position. Their cannons powered down. Some even drew back to higher orbit. Lisa felt the change before anyone else spoke of it. She lifted her head. "The noise, it changed," she said softly. Above opened a wide channel. His voice echoed through the human systems. "This is General of the Imperial Fleet. The strike has been halted. Further assault is suspended. A request for diplomatic exchange has been placed before the throne." An uneasy silence followed. Then Jack answered. "This is Haven Ridge. We hear you, we will listen." Hours later, as fires burned low and med-teams moved through ruined streets, a small Imperial envoy ship landed beyond the damaged outer zone. Its ramp lowered slowly. stepped down, unarmed and exposed. Jack, Lisa, and a small group of human officials approached cautiously. Inclined his head in respect. "You have strength," he said, "not just in weapons but in will. My empire failed to understand that. I will not make that mistake again." Jack studied him carefully. "Then if you truly see us, we can speak as equals, not as conqueror and target." "That is my wish," replied, "and the only path left for peace." In distant systems, other species watched the recordings of humanity's stand. They saw colonies that refused to kneel, commanders who chose words over silence, civilians who held together instead of breaking apart. Gradually, the narrative shifted across the stars. Humanity was no longer seen as weak. They were seen as fierce, adaptable, and unyielding, yet still capable of mercy. On Haven Ridge, life did not return to normal at once. Buildings had to be repaired. Families mourned the lost. Scars remained in both land and heart. But there was also a new sense of quiet strength. Sat on the steps of a half-broken structure, watching children play again in dusty sunlight. "Guess we made it," he said with a tired smile. Walked by, hands still stained with grease and blood. "Yeah, and the towers did not even fall." "Neither did we," replied. In the command center, reviewed new data with calm focus, now mapping communication lines instead of enemy targets. Jack stood beside her, watching the skyline. "They tried to crush us," he said quietly, "and all they did was show us who we are." "And show the galaxy too," she added. Returned to his ship, knowing his actions would change the Empire forever. But as he looked back at the small human world, he felt a rare sense of peace. "You did not break," he said softly. "You taught us what strength really is." The Imperial fleet slowly, leaving behind a world but unbowed, a world that had faced the weight of an empire and remained standing. And across the stars, the story of Haven Ridge spread, not as a tale of fear, but as a quiet warning and a bold promise. Humanity would not kneel. Humanity would endure. And the galaxy would remember the day the Empire chose to pause, and the day humans chose to stand.